I'm still Chick McGee, and here's Tom Griswold.
Thank you very much.
And we have a special guest.
And we do. We have a surprise for our special guest, too.
Oh, my.
I've always wondered where Marc Summers. His last name was
I've always wondered where Jonathan Winters.
Where Tom
nowhere anymore.
fell.
Well, that's
Wow. It got cold in here fast. Marc Summers, I guess the best description, television personality, you know him from Double Dare and many other things.
He's an icon.
And I just thought of you a couple weeks ago.
Tell me why.
This is see if you can guess.
Okay, it's going to have something to do with obsessive compulsive disorder.
No, that's the thing. It didn't.
Oh, my.
I was reading a book about the Doors.
Oh, okay.
Is this giving you any kind of a hint?
No.
Okay.
I thought this was the Marc Summers dream you had where he's kissing you on your forehead.
No.
Yeah.
Telling you everything's
that
going to
one?
be okay.
I'd rather hear that one.
Yeah.
I was reading.
We'd all rather
Remember
hear
your
that
big
one.
spoon?
He says they double dare you to kiss me?
excuse me. The great guitarist for the Doors, Robbie Krieger, has a really good book called "Set the Night on Fire."
It's unreadable.
And at one point, he talks about working with drummer Mike Berkowitz.
My brother.
Yeah.
That's your brother.
That's right. My brother, who, when the Doors dissolved after Mr. Morrison decided to take things into his own hands in a bad way, they started a band called the Butts Band, and my brother was the drummer for the Butts Band.
And I saw his name. I know that guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's got to be pissed. You got the hair gene. You've got like Elvis hair, and
Yeah, it's insane. I don't know why that is. But,
he's the rock star. What happened?
I know. It's insane.
But your brother is a world-class drummer.
He is. When he was 15 years old, living here in Indianapolis, he was playing for Johnny Mathis and Henry Mancini. They would come and pick him up and put his drums in the back of this van and drive him to Chicago. And he would go up there and play gigs when he was 15, 16 years old.
Wow.
He was at the Playboy Club when he was like 17 in Chicago. I mean, he has stories. He was on the road with Liza for 10 years. Those stories, you got to have him on the show if he'll even talk about that stuff. And then he conducted for Marvin Hamlish for about 10 years. And then when my brother got a better review than Marvin fired him.
And Marvin, by the way, is sleeping with Jonathan Winters.
Yeah, he is.
So, there you go. In any event,
music and comedy.
A weird thing to be reading about all of a sudden. Wait a minute. That's Marc Summers' brother.
I didn't know that existed. That book was around.
It's a great book if you're a Doors fan.
Yeah.
I heard it's unreadable. Well, I heard.
Now, Marc also, beside being well known for his work in television, wrote a book that I read a few years back.
A few years, 1999, I wrote that.
Called Everything in Its Place.
Yeah.
I love the story.
It's a great book.
And it's a story about your struggles with OCD.
Yep.
Give me the short, the précis, if you will, of the book.
Well, what happened was I was hosting a talk show on Lifetime called Biggers and Summers, and we had a doctor on, Dr. Eric Hollander, and when I was doing the research the night before, it was all about something called, I had never heard of it, obsessive compulsive disorder, and as I was doing the research, I went, oh my God, I've been doing that, I do that. I think I have this thing. And so on national TV, the next day, I sort of poured my guts out and said, I think I have this. And the next thing I know, I'm on Oprah, I'm on Howard Stern, I'm everywhere, People Magazine, discussing this. And, you and I have had these conversations. 20 years, I guess we've been having these conversations, quite honestly. And I seem to be in much better shape than you, apparently, because I kind of don't do it anymore, but you're still kind of suffering with it. Huh?
I'm not suffering.
Do you see what Marc is
I'm
politely
loving it.
saying to you here, Tom? It's when he comes on, he would just shut up about it.
There's a scene where you wake up in the middle of the night, your wife
Marc
comes...
knows the scene. He wrote the book.
No, but I was
I want you to know you're in a safe place, Tom.
We like you, Tom.
His wife comes out in the middle of the night. He's combing the hair on the bottom of the carpeting. He has a birthday party for his then young child, and he's stapling butcher paper to the walls.
I wouldn't put staples. I taped it.
So of course, so they wouldn't get the fingerprints on the walls.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What's the wackiest thing you've done?
Oh, geez.
Today?
He hoards newspapers, but that's kind of
Not
going
anymore.
away.
I don't believe you.
I don't have. In
You've
fact,
got him somewhere.
Oh, he's got stacks and stacks of iPads in his closet.
This is the first time I've been here with your son. Explain to me what it was like growing up in the house with that going on.
It was great because, there was always clean towels because he did laundry 10 times a day.
Right.
got to do that.
There was always, newspapers so we could do our art projects without making a mess. A lot of various safety goggles, Mark, for cooking bacon or for lighting off fireworks or for
just walking around the house.
Just walking around the house, just in case.
Did the gene transfer to you at all?
I mean, not at all.
Yeah, no.
Good.
But then, didn't you? One of your favorite games was taking the Pam spray food.
Oh, this is
the cooking spray. Yeah,
the cooking spray.
If you have a gas cooktop,
if you have a gas cooktop,
which, by the way, I would highly recommend.
Of course.
What you do with little kids, and I still have several of them, you do this magic trick where you take your hand and you go boosh, and then you secretly spray the stuff with a nice open flame. It's the best.
They're encouraging people to do this in front of children.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
Don't set them on fire.
Boosh?
Yeah, you have to, or you can say abracadabra, whatever you want. Just to, they stopped believing it at about age 5. But those first few years, it's really fun.
Oh my, unbelievable.
Now, I don't mean to obsess about this obsessive compulsive.
No, that would never happen.
However,
yes, sir.
Mr. Godwin has taken the time and trouble. You can see him up on the big screen.
Oh!
I feel for those who have OCD, but I don't have OCD. I'm sorry for those with OCD, but I don't have OCD. 1 for the O, 2 for the C, 3 for the D, OCD. Won't you sing along with me in groups of 3? OCD. Forming a line behind me. Don't bend your knees. OCD. Every 5th verse, change the key. OCD, OCD. Wash your hands, be germ-free. Sing it twice. OCD. Did I lock that door? Go back and see. OCD. OCD. Is the oven on? It just might be. OCD, OCD. Song is over in the second D. OCD, OCD.
Nice little tribute
very nice.
to obsessive compulsive disorder.
Could you do that 3 more times?
So you are pretty much, you don't have any.
No, I always say I'm about 86% sure. I tell you what helped, believe it or not. COVID changed everything in everybody's lives. But when I realized I was sort of trapped and I could sort of contemplate my navel, I moved up to the central coast of California and started taking walks. 5-mile walks every day is what I do. And it just kind of brought me down to a whole different space. And I do not obsess about that stuff anymore. It's interesting.
You don't have to end on an even step or.
No, I never had to do that stuff. I was never a lights flipper and any of that kind of stuff. But mine was more about neatness and cleanliness and all that kind. But I really don't worry about it too much anymore.
I have a secret war going on with the janitor here.
Tell me.
When I get here in the morning.
Yeah.
You guys don't even know about this.
I do. I don't know that I know about
There's a light switch by that door over there.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
there's one by that door over there.
Yeah.
I like that one to be the up one.
Yeah.
Not because of the lights, but because you just want the switch up.
Yes. So I'll switch it and then go to undo the other one. I'm not sure if he knows we're having this battle, but I know that it's there.
Really? And if it doesn't happen, what do you think? Do you have intrusive thoughts?
No, nothing weird. I just have to go switch it around.
You don't think like, hey, the show won't go well if I don't do this?
No, because the show's gone very badly many times when it's that episode. True. Now, in Mark's book, and I'm going to not get it quite right, but you would have to go to a specific window of a department store and read all of the little placards, or you couldn't get on an airplane.
Yeah, I couldn't get on an airplane, or I would translate it to, if my son's trying to get on a baseball team, he won't do well, or my daughter was in a play and she'd forget her lines. And so I took on all that weight, which was a royal pain in my rear end, having to take on all that responsibility. So,
And then one last one that I still remember from 20 years ago reading your book. Someone, I think it was one of your kids, wanted a hot dog.
oh, no.
And I believe you were, I forget where you were.
I was living in New York, and I had an
working
apartment.
in Philadelphia or something?
No, I was living in New York. That's when I was doing the Lifetime show and doing Food Network stuff. And I had an apartment that I'd never cooked in. And because I ate out all the time, and my son would come for a month and then go back to L.A., and then my daughter would come for a month and go back to L.A. And I said, what do you want to go out to dinner and do tonight? And she goes, I just want a hot dog. And I thought, well, okay, we'll go get hot dogs. She said, no, I want to do it at home. Well, I didn't have any utensils or anything. So we went to Macy's and spent, $700 on, pots and pans. And, then bought hot dogs and buns and mustard and whatever else you wanted and potato chips. And I cooked in the house for the first time and did that. Never used the pots and pans ever again. But
well, worth it.
Yeah. Oh, no question. That was the most expensive New York dinner I think I ever went to.
that is OCD.
As you walked to Macy's, how many hot dog stands did you pass?
Oh, yeah, thousands.
On the streets of Manhattan.
Well, the thing about the hot dog stands is Letterman used to say, they don't change the water until, the fall. So just unbelievable.
Thank you very much. Joining us in the studio, he is a television personality. Not to suggest that he's not a human being. I never liked that. Oh, he's a radio personality. He's a human being.
I like being called a radio personality.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because off the radio, I have zero personality.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. He is Marc Summers. And off the air, we were talking about this and that. And you kind of have kind of like different generations know you for different things.
It's so true. You know, a Double Dare, I guess, is what got it all started. And then I moved over to the Food Network doing Unwrapped and exec producing Dinner and Restaurant Impossible. But I did a guest spot on a show called Workaholics. And that show just exploded. And a whole different group of humans, found me. And it just was fun. I mean, literally, I walked down the street and people go, hey, did you get to keep the bear suit? I mean, that's what they always ask. You know?
What was the Workaholics thing?
Workaholics. It's a great show on Comedy Central with Adam Devine and Blake Anderson, these young comics out of L.A. Super funny.
Did you play yourself, Mark?
I play myself. You know, everything I've ever done. I've done voices on 1 million cartoons, and I always play myself because they know I can't act. So if I can't play myself, I'm screwed, you know?
Cartoons?
Yeah, I've done a lot of voiceovers on a lot of cartoons. I started on Robot Chicken and have done 1 million episodes of that. And then I've done a couple of Nickelodeon cartoons. I was on, what's the other Seth MacFarlane show that I did?
Family Guy or American Dad?
No, keep going. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe I did it. Anyway, the one with the black couple.
The Cleveland show?
I did a Cleveland show where they did a whole thing about Cleveland not getting along with his dad because he screwed up the obstacle course, and so they redid the whole obstacle course, and I played me. So I got to tell you a story, but I have to be very careful about telling this story. So at the end, Cleveland can't get the flag, and I'm yelling, "Get the flag! Get the flag! Get the effing flag!" Okay, and I did the take like 1 time, 2 times, 3. I did it like 17 times, and I finally said to the producer in the booth, I said, "Can you give me some direction or something? Am I not doing it right?" And he goes, "Oh no, you got it like on the second take. It's just hysterical to hear you keep saying that word over and over."
Because you've been working clean your whole life.
My whole life, you know. I
Sure.
mean, when I started off at the Comedy Store in '76, I wasn't working, super dirty, but I was saying words that I guess most people wouldn't associate with me. And, Howie Mandel and Saget had that career where they expected one thing, and then they went to see him, and families would come, and then they'd walk out because they couldn't believe that Saget and Howie were doing what they were doing. But they've had these 2 different lives. And, Bob got really insane towards, the end.
Bob Saget, yeah. I remember Tim Allen, who before he was the Tim Allen, famous Tim Allen, would come through here doing stand-up, and he was and is, I'm sure, a great stand-up. Mm-hmm. But his act was brutally frank, if you will.
Absolutely.
Really? And he got famous as whatever it was, Tim the Tool Guy, and then he actually went out and played the sheds, the so-called the big outdoor arenas, whatever you want to call them. And people were quite stunned because he had not written a new act for the clean guy.
Yeah.
But I would highly recommend him as a stand-up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, stand-up back in the day when I started in '76, I got there at the same time. Letterman, Leno, Robin Williams, we all started together. And then I got into doing warm-ups. And I was doing the warm-ups on a show called Soap. And next to me, because he hadn't really exploded yet, was Letterman doing the warm-ups on Barney Miller. And on the other side, Saget was doing the warm-ups on Bosom Buddies.
No kidding.
Yeah, and that's how we all got started.
Soap is one of my all-time favorite shows.
Explain what the warm-ups mean. What is that?
What we do is go out and get the audience sort of primed because there's 300 warm bodies sitting in a room, and chances are they've never seen a live TV show recorded, and they think they're going to come in and watch it and be out the door in 25 minutes. Well, it takes hours to do these things, and your job is to keep them up and happy and laughing, and sometimes it gets very, very, very difficult. There was one story, I was a page at CBS Television City, and Norman Lear was producing a new show called Good Times, and Norman felt that the audience should be all black because it's a black show. And so normally you do a dress rehearsal at 4:30, and then it takes about an hour and 15 minutes. Then you go and have dinner, the crew, and they get notes, and then they do an air show at 7:30. Well, we were supposed to do the dress rehearsal at 4:30, and people line up, for 2 or 3 hours hoping to get better seats. And 4:30, we were supposed to shoot the show. Nothing happened. 5 o'clock, nothing happened. 5:30, nothing happened. 6 o'clock, nothing happened. And Mr. Lear came out and said, "Come here, Mark." And I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, we're not going to be able to do the dress rehearsal. So, and he handed me a wad of money, and he said, give everybody $20. Tell them to go out and have dinner and come back for the 7:30. And I said, Mr. Lear, can I say something? He said, what's that? I said, if we give everybody $20, they ain't coming back. and I gave people $20, and about a third of the audience came back, and he realized after the first episode, it's really not a black show, it's a show. And after that, we had everybody come. But, you know, the philosophy back then, 73, 74, was totally different. When you think of the chances he took, I remember going to the episodes where Maude was, you know, having an abortion and, you know, the stuff that Archie used to say, and people were like stunned. But the funny thing or odd or scary thing is you probably couldn't do those shows today, you know?
Yeah,
Because
isn't that
everybody
interesting?
gets offended.
Right.
When you would warm up the audience, would you do a lot of question and answer stuff? Would you talk to them? And
Well, I lied initially. When I was a page, I was page on Mary Tyler Moore and Newhart, and a guy by the name of Lorenzo Music, who played Carlton of the Doorman, did the warm-ups, and he was amazing. Best warm-up guy I probably ever saw.
He ended up voicing Garfield
the cat.
and
Very good.
the Bill Murray character in the Ghostbusters
Yep.
cartoon. Yeah.
Absolutely true. And he was beyond talented, but a very strange human being. And I went into his office once and lied to him and told him I did warm-ups. I'd never done a warm-up in my life. And I get a phone call 2 weeks later. He said, we're doing a show called Doc. It's going to be on CBS, and I can't do it. Can you fill in for me? I went, oh, sure. Well, now I'm pooping my pants because I got to go out there and try and be entertaining. And somehow I was somewhat magical. And Grant Tinker, who was head of Mary's company and eventually ran NBC, came down and hugged me and said, that's the best job I've ever seen in my life. And I thought, well, what the hell did I just do? And that sort of opened the career. And so, yeah, I would do Q&A, and I would tell about the history of the show, and I knew everything about all the people on stage. And, you know, sometimes when I was doing soap, we would be there till 1 o'clock in the morning. So you start showing, you know, pictures of your kids in your wallet, you know, whatever you can do to. And I used to do magic, though, a lot for the audience to keep them going as well.
Oh.
But I did Star Search and Webster and What's Happening Now and Alice. And Shandling got fired because they didn't like him. And I replaced Gary Shandling doing the warm-ups on Alice. I mean, you know, stories are insane.
wow. Yeah. We're talking with Marc Summers, and we have a special request because Marc is perhaps less known for his book, Everything in Its Place.
Yes.
That's the exact title, which I read 20 years ago and still
You can continue to read.
Yeah. Is it still out there?
I don't think it is. You know, I've got like 20 copies in a closet somewhere, and every now and then I come out of the closet and because people want them or need them.
And it was about your OCD and the fact that you'd be polishing your shoes and they had to be all lined up and all kinds of fascinating things. And you've gotten beyond that, which is great.
Yep.
But we have this a little special treat. I think we can play this still. We're going to find out in just a second, but give this a listen.
Right, this is rock roadie Ian St. Ian, host of the syndicated show Rock Minute. But today, I'm not here to interview a famous rock star. I'm here to tell you about a very serious disease that has been long overlooked in the media, but affects the lives of thousands. Most people are familiar with obsessive-compulsive disorder, commonly called OCD, where victims often have repetitive behaviors that they feel compelled to perform over and over. But not many have heard of a similar disorder that wreaks havoc on those afflicted. Just listen to this suffering individual.
It's horrible. It comes on at the most embarrassing times. I'll be standing in line at the bank and suddenly, and just like that, everyone's staring and pointing at me.
Oh, this poor bastard is one of the many victims of OCDC. With no warning, these people begin singing, playing air guitar, and screaming various AC/DC songs. There's no known cure and no known cause.
Once it happened in the middle of a funeral. The widow mentioned how handsome her husband looked in his black suit. And I jumped on the casket, threw my fist in the air, and screamed, "A bucket black!" I thought I was being disrespectful, but I can't help it.
No.
By the time they pulled me down and dragged me out of there, I was belting out, "I'm on a highway to hell!" I don't want to be this way.
These folks are helpless, and they can't stop the rock. OCDC can affect anyone, anywhere. It destroys relationships, causes legal problems, and often ends careers.
I was a successful television broadcaster for years, until that horrible day when I had to do a live break-in to cover a huge earthquake. Right in the middle, I stood up, grabbed my microphone, and pointed to the camera and belted out, "You shook me all night long!" I was fired immediately and couldn't get another TV gig, unless you count YouTube. I'm a really big hit on YouTube. I don't make a dime off of YouTube, and money talks!
Sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
OCDC victims say that the only place they feel safe is at an actual AC/DC concert.
Sure.
However, even then, they often get harassed by regular fans for singing the wrong song at the wrong time.
Oh, man, I was at a show, and they were doing the quiet beginning of Hell's Bells with the guitar and bell ringing, and I'm standing on my seat doing the loudest version of Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Anyone's ever heard, I got my ass kicked good that night. I felt like I was hit with some TNT Dynamite.
Please do what you can to help the OCDC Foundation. Dirty deeds might come dirt cheap, but medical research don't. So give what you can. And hey, piss off! You're done. Bloody hell! We're recording in here, you wanker.
Little tribute to OCD.
Very clever. Very clever.
Very obscure. Very obscure illness. Our guest, Marc Summers, television personalities. You said you started with Robin Williams and Letterman and all those guys.
76.
Did you know Dave from living in Indianapolis?
A little bit. I was working at a radio station, WBMP in Elwood, Indiana, doing weekends 6 to 11, and I was 15 years old, and the guy who used to drive me up lost his job, and so I lost my ride, and I got fired, and Dave Letterman took my place. So that was, let's see, I was 15, so like 66, 67.
Wow.
So he took my place there, and then we used to play racquetball together in in L.A. when we were at the Comedy Store. He was the most intense racquetball player. He and Jeff Altman were unbeatable. Really? They were the most intense players. I could not score a point off these guys. It was insane how good they were.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's an obscure Dave Letterman fact.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know.
The most intense racquetball player I've ever been against. No question about it. Yeah. So I knew those guys. It's interesting that, I have all sorts of Letterman stories I could tell you, but the fact that I'm kind of retired and all I do now is kind of call people to go have lunch. And every Wednesday where I live, I ran into Dennis Miller. And every Wednesday, Dennis Miller and I go have lunch together. And it's the most fascinating time because he may be the smartest human being I've ever talked with in my life. I need like a thesaurus, a dictionary, an encyclopedia when I'm talking to him because his frame of references most of the time go over my head. But it's so much fun to sit and have these conversations because basically we just talk showbiz and comedy and stuff like that. I had lunch the other day. Rosie O'Donnell moved back to California, and I tracked her down. We went to lunch and sat there for 2.5 hours because I was doing the warm-ups on Star Search when she was a contestant on that show. That's how far back we go.
Cool.
And then we were on Win, Lose, or Draw all the time together. And so it's just weird that we're all freaking old now, and we kind of walk down memory lane. It's a ball.
Mark, here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to invite Dennis to lunch.
Yes.
And invite Rosie to lunch.
Yes.
Same place, and you don't show up.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it? That would be. And then we'll bring in Tom Selleck.
Here's an obscure thing you can tell Dennis the next time you see him. This is really obscure. He submitted a joke to Playboy magazine probably when he was a teenager, and it made it to Playboy magazine.
Really?
And I know it because someone sent me the thing. I think is he from Pittsburgh?
He's from Pittsburgh,
yeah.
Pittsburgh, yeah.
And they used to have a joke page, and whoever would send the joke, they would put their name and their hometown. Ask him if I'm sure he remembers.
Oh, I'll have to ask him that.
And if I forget the joke, I just remember it wasn't particularly good. But it wasn't it was a street joke.
Right.
That he was just repeating, and he sent it in. So that may be his first break into show business.
I have to ask him about that. That's way cool.
Yeah, very, very obscure.
Yeah, unbelievable.
We're talking with Marc Summers, retired television person. I think you'll end up doing it again.
Yeah, I'm starting a podcast. Good God, there's 850,000 literally people doing them, and I kept saying no, and finally got talked into doing it, and I'm glad I did. All these shows during COVID, I kept getting called, and I did 150 of these darn things, and found out that I was being asked the same questions over and over again, so I stopped doing them. And so my theme is, if you watch somebody on a movie or a Broadway show or TV, you go, well, that's the most lucky human being in the world. But the reality is they've overcome a boatload of obstacles to get where they are.
Sure.
And that's what we're talking about. And we start off with Guy Fieri, and then we're doing Anthony Ramos, who was in Hamilton and is in the star of every movie right now. We did Al Roker. And so it's been a lot of fun. We've recorded about 13, 14 of these things. We launched January 16th across the country.
What's it called?
I can't give the title yet because it hasn't been cleared. So I've been told not to say the name yet. But
is your name in it?
My name is in it.
I was going to say, maybe that's the problem. Can't get that a-hole to sign off.
That's right.
It's his own show.
Damn it, you paid me $1 million, then you can do it, right?
Marc Summers is our guest. Well, when it comes available, we'll give you a phone call.
Cool, man.
You think it's positive or negative? You make all of our guests feel weird and never want to come back.
Marc Summers gets the same questions over and over. I haven't asked him yet. So, have you ever been slimed? Oh, Jesus.
I know.
He comes in the show and I talk about his book.
The question I hate more than
forgotten he wrote.
The one I hate, I just did a reunion for our high school, and I got asked 1 million times, when you did the Tonight Show with Burt Reynolds, was that real? And I'm just so tired of answering that question.
Oh, I love that clip.
Oh my God, stop it already.
If you're wondering what this is about, just Google it. It's there.
Right,
It's there.
It's there. And it was real.
Yeah.
Is that your most Googled thing, do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
It always comes up in all the feeds. It's so funny.
There was an incident.
I get uncomfortable watching it, but
Yeah.
Why do you get uncomfortable?
Well, man, it is.
because he's so. I'm totally on your side.
Yeah,
in
well, I
this.
appreciate that. As you should be.
He's just so. He's trying to hurt you.
Yeah,
and
he
it
was.
really bothers me.
He was trying to hurt me. You're right. And at the end of the segment, the NBC attorneys ran out to me and said, "Are you okay? You know, you're not going to sue us, are you?" I mean, that was all they were worried about. Is was I going to sue NBC because this guy went nuts on me? You know.
Google it, ladies and gentlemen. But we were talking about the fact that Marc moved to Los Angeles in the mid '70s and was there at the Comedy Store with guys like Dave Letterman and Gary Shandling and the guy who's on TV more than any human being now, I think, Howie Mandel.
Yeah.
You guys were all starting off at the
I used to
same
open
time.
for Howie.
Wow.
Yeah, a place called Stocks 2 in Orange County.
And Howie's still out there. He's on. Every time I turn the TV on, that America's Got Talent is on.
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of over it, but it's on a lot. But I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Marc, but Ace is a master of the joke.
Oh, Lord.
And I thought, as I know you kind of came up doing magic and hosting and all sorts of things, I thought perhaps a little school in the art of telling a joke.
Who's that sexy man with a deep voice? Ace Cosby, here he is with his joke of the day.
That guy who stole my diary, he just died.
Oh, boy.
Now my thoughts are with his family.
That was Ace Cosby's joke of the day.
Hey, I'm not going to lie. I like it.
That was good.
What the hell are you all laughing at?
I get you guys all the time on my phone, and I look forward to when you do this every day.
Thank you, Marc.
Yes, that's true.
How kind.
Oh, boy.
Marc, do you miss doing stand-up at all?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No.
You don't want to think about it?
No. It was painful.
It's stressful,
at times,
yeah.
you know.
It is
and
painful.
I remember I got called to go do a college in New Orleans, and I was the opening act, and they said I had to have 2 different 30-minute sets. Okay.
All right.
And I was just getting going, so I did like close to 30 the first time, and then I had to go back out, and I didn't have any material, so I did magic tricks for 30 minutes for a bunch of drunk college people. And we were in the worst hotel. It was full of cockroaches, and me and a guy by the name of Ellis Levinson, who was a comic I was with, we spent the whole night throwing shoes at roaches on the wall, you know? What, get out of show business, you know?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, those stories of all those things. I mean, I did a warm-up on a Bette Midler special, okay? Now, here's who was on the show. Bette Midler, Dustin Hoffman, and Emmett Kelly. Okay?
Wow. Okay. The clown?
The clown.
Was he able to walk?
Oh, no, this was 1976 or something, okay?
Yeah.
And so Bette's taking like a week before each costume change. So I'm going out there, and her audience was interesting, okay? And they learned to hate me in about the first 20 minutes, okay? It was not going well. And I went into Emmett Kelly's dressing room at one point, and we were talking during a break, and he came out and like worked with me and did shtick with me and whatever, because he felt the flop sweat in his dressing room, so he came up and helped me. And so at the end of the night, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and like I'm beat the hell up. And I remember going, it was Gary Smith or Dwight Hemian, and I said to Dwight Hemian, you know, my mom always wanted me to be a doctor, and he said, it's not too late. So, so I'm leaving, and Emmett Kelly's standing at the door, and I said, Mr. Kelly, thank you so much. You really saved my rear end out there. I appreciate that. And as I'm almost at the door, I don't hear nobody thanking me.
Oh.
And it was Bette.
Oh.
And it was early in my career, and it's, do you keep walking? Do you say, go F yourself? Or do you turn around and I said, oh, I'm sorry, Miss Midler, Midler.
Miss Devine.
Miss Devine, yeah. I didn't want to bother you, and and she said, no, I apologize. I know I left you out there, and one thing after another. So I said, okay, fine. I walked out, and like I figured, well, I'll never work again. I get a phone call the next week. She's doing a special at the Roxy for HBO, when nobody really knew what HBO was back in the day, and she requested me to do the warm-up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and she played the whole show to me. If you can ever see that show, I'm in the audience. She's like looking at me the whole time. So it was like, that was pretty cool payback. I mean, she was, kind to know that she kind of put me out there. And
yeah.
She, so there's good stories and bad stories. But, when you're doing stand-up, if you're doing great, it's amazing. Mm-hmm. But as you know, if you're not doing well, I asked Billy Crystal, what are you doing? He goes, well, I try to grow a beard on stage. It's just like, get the hell out of here,
Well, speaking of doing well on stage, got this one from Eric. I saw Willie G Saturday night. He killed it.
Yeah,
By the way, I bought 4 lighters. Great show.
4 lighters.
Yeah.
Well, lighter users tend to lose them.
We should explain to Mr. Summers that in today's world as a stand-up, you really have to have merch. To break even.
Seriously.
To do your gas. So, Willie, you want to show Mr. Summers?
Yeah, Mark, these are the Willie Griswold not for weed lighters.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of these hooligans out there. They're trying to smoke the reefer.
Yeah.
And you can't do it in every state. So these are the not for weed lighters. You can use them for cigarettes, candles, arson. You just can't use them for the old marijuana. I'll give you one if you want one.
That would be nice. So let me ask you, because I've been in the merch business for a while with the Nickelodeon stuff and Double Dare. What's your cost per lighter?
It's a couple bucks, but I have to buy them in like mass.
Yeah, you got to buy like 144 minimum or something.
So
right?
I got them sitting.
Is
in
it
the
really a
garage.
couple bucks per lighter?
I think it's like I get it for I think it's like $3.45.
And what do you sell them for?
$5. I make like no money off these.
No, I was going to say, so why bother?
I think it's just kind of fun. I think people are going to have it in their pocket and they give it to their buddy. It's they're fun. They're cool. It's a good time.
What were you selling?
T-shirts and sweatshirts, and in the Nickelodeon days, I owned a part of all that stuff. So we'd make a T-shirt for $5 and sell it for $25. That's how that whole thing works. I remember talking to George Carlin once, and he was saying, I make more money on the merch than I do on the darn tickets.
Yeah,
and that's why they stand out there. Alton Brown's probably the best. Alton Brown, a Food Network guy, and now he's doing Iron Chef over at Netflix. He'll stand out there. If there are people waiting for 2-3 hours, he will sign every book, every T-shirt. He'll do it because that's where he makes all his dough. It's amazing. I bet you get $10 for those lighters.
I like doing 5, and I just like meeting everybody. I feel bad. Like people got a babysitter, people are coming out, they got drinks.
Yeah, don't worry
I don't
about
wanna
them. Screw them. Just get the money.
Now, wait a minute.
I'd go 20 if I were.
I have another thing for Mark. Once again, I may be the only one who was obsessed with Mark's book from 1999.
Oh, I loved it, yeah.
Steve writes, Mark's book is available on Amazon right now.
No.
$37.22, but they only have one copy left.
Oh, my. Wow. That's
because Mark's had a fascinating life. Thanks for having him on the show.
37. Wow.
Yeah.
You got 20 in your closet. You should be,
Hey, listen, do the math on that.
Yeah.
40 times. That's
It's now going up to 50 bucks.
That's right.
Getting a lot of nice mail about our guest. He is television personality, author, brother of a great drummer. Marc Summers is our guest.
Orthopedic shoe salesman.
And this comes to us from Dan, saying how much he loves it when you're on the show. When we last left you, Mark was talking about the fact that someone decided to make a pornographic video, taking the title Double Dare.
Yeah.
I believe it was
with Deborah Dare, by the way, was
starring Marc Summers.
Hey!
What?
Guess that slime is a little rough.
People at Nickelodeon are spinning in their graves right now.
These are all true facts.
True facts.
That's the question you get the most about, I assume, the slime stuff.
Yeah, how many times were you slimed? Did you like getting slimed? And all that kind of good stuff. And the fascination of people who go into my various social media. I've always wanted to get slimed. I've never quite understood. But the first day, now keep in mind, when I auditioned, I didn't know anything about obstacle courses or anything. I was going to host a game show. So I get the job, and I go into the studio, and here are all these obstacles, and they're pouring, green stuff and whipped cream and chocolate syrup. And I said, what the hell is this? And they said, well, at the end of the show, they do the bonus round, and if they can run through these 8 obstacles in 60 seconds or less, they win all these prizes. And I said, do you really think kids would want to do that? That's what a genius I was, okay? And that bought me a house in Santa Barbara.
What was the temperature of the slime? That's what I've always wondered.
Generally, it was rather cold, okay? And it could shock you. Sometimes coming out, they try to get it room temperature, but it wasn't always that easy to do. So the males would know shrinkage from that. Okay, that's kind of the direction we're going. It's that bad.
Where was that filmed?
Well, we initially started at WHYY in Philadelphia. Then we moved it to New York for a short time, back to Philly for a couple of months, and then we were down at the Nick Studios in Orlando, Florida for quite a while.
Is it still out there?
No, gone. Shut it down. Sad.
I mean, is it being rerun anywhere?
Oh, God, yeah. I went back right before COVID and shot, how many episodes did we do? I don't know, like 60, 70 new episodes. I was not the host. This was fun. I kept trying to bring it back forever. So Nickelodeon calls me at home and says, hey, we're bringing back the show. Your persistence has paid off. I said, great. And they said, but you're not going to host it. And I said, oh, who's hosting it? And they said, we hired an influencer. And I said, I'm a 68-year-old guy. What the hell's an influencer? So this very nice young lady by the name of Liza Koshy hosted it. I was exec producer, and I was the announcer. So I became the sidekick. And every now and then she'd bring me out, and I'd do some stuff. So one day, she got laryngitis in the middle of the show. And they came to me, and they said, Liza can't talk. Can you go out and do the show? And I went, yeah, of course I can. And they said, well, how much rehearsal do you need? And I said, none. And they said, why? And I said, I do this in my sleep. So I went out and did it. The ratings skyrocketed those episodes. And then, they had to sort of decide, and they decided to stay with her, which was fine. But
how many? Do you happen to know how many you did altogether?
The original run was 525 episodes. Wow. And then we did another 60 and a Super Bowl special, so almost 600 episodes. Yeah.
So not very successful.
No. And here's the best part. Okay, you got to love this. So streaming channels. I question, you're paying $1 bazillion on your cable bill, and then now you got to pay $6.95 for Disney Plus and $7.95 for Paramount Plus and all this stuff and Discovery. And I thought, well, how much money are people actually going to, write a check for on a monthly basis? So I own a percentage of the show, have since day one, and because of Paramount Plus, I get a statement the other day for this check that was I said to my wife, does this say what I think it says? And so every 90 days they send me this boatload of money for things I did 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Because I signed, I'm in an it's a union gig, and they're running that stuff, and thank heavens.
Cool.
So, yeah, keep making money from things I did when I was a young man. So it's pretty cool.
It makes sense. Like my inner child doesn't even know how to talk with you in this room because I'm kind of freaking out, very stunned.
Oh my God!
So then, as I
There's a hug happening. There we go.
She's getting teary-eyed.
Ms. Alsman's getting hugged by Mr. Summers. Isn't that sweet?
So anyway.
Or now, are you too nervous to do a couple news?
I can do news stories, but no, it's like my generation. When you find all these things on streaming platforms again, you can't wait to go back and watch them, and then you're watching them with your kids, so then they can enjoy it. So
and the comments that people write about, we never realized the show was being done on 2 levels. Now they're getting the jokes that I told when they were 8.
That's always fun.
Yeah.
You always latch onto that stuff from back. I found myself researching Larry Mondello.
Oh my!
Over the weekend.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Who's that?
He was in Leave It to Beaver.
He was one of the side kids in Leave It to Beaver, and I found out he got kicked off the show because his mother was so aggressive on set. They fired the poor kid.
Really?
Yes.
What was his name?
I forget.
Oh my! Larry
Mondello. And then there was also there was a kid in that show. And one of the buddies was named Whitey.
Oh yeah.
That wouldn't play today, would it? No. Not going to find him on BET, I bet, are you? Or maybe you would, but not for long.
Okay, let's squeeze in one news story. What have you got over there?
a statue dedicated to Cheetos and its bright orange dust has been erected in Canada.
Hey now.
CNN reports that the brand installed a nearly 17-foot tall statue of an orange stained hand holding a massive Cheeto puff in the tiny town of Cheeto, Alberta.
Oh, that makes sense.
According to Cheetos.
Cheeto, Alberta, but now wait till you hear why.
No, I know why.
According to Cheetos, the community was chosen because of its name's similarity to Cheetle, which is the company's official name for Cheeto dust.
Right, yeah. A couple of years ago, they came out and said, hey, we call this stuff Cheetle. And, in fact, weren't they selling it in a little shaker?
Yeah, that's right.
Salted,
really?
Yeah.
And the monument will remain in Cheetle until November 4th before embarking on a tour around Canada.
We have a very short tribute to Cheetos, ladies and gentlemen.
If you want to turn your daddy parts orange, eat some Cheetos and watch some porn.
I got a little short
I was going to ask you if you knew that joke. Because that's what comes to mind for me.
By the way, Tom, I hope you found out when you were doing a deep dive on Larry Mondello, that was the character's name. The actor was Robert Rusty Stevens.
Oh, okay, yeah.
A little red-haired kid.
Wow.
Yeah, just you go back to your childhood and all those things that you saw back then. They just every once in a while you go and do the deep dive, and find out about obscure things. It's nice to find out that they're alive.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody in Leave It to Beaver except for the Beav is pretty much deceased.
Yeah.
His first
and who
appearance,
knows his quality of life, you know.
I was Beaver.
Larry Mondello's first appearance, November 22nd, 1957.
I was hosting a show called Couch Potatoes, and I
loved Couch Potatoes.
And so we would have celebrities from back in the day come on the show, and we did a Mother's Day week, and one of the people we brought on was Barbara Billingsley.
Oh wow!
Well, Barbara was nipping a little bit too much booze. And so when she came out, trying to read the teleprompter took quite a while. But the worst was Mrs. Howell.
Oh,
Lovey?
Lovey.
Was her Natalie?
Yes, and Natalie, wow, we had to bring in, Frank Welker to do the voice. I mean, it was just, it was not working out well. Or maybe it was Fred Travalina, but she just couldn't put two sentences together, so we had those things every now and then. But,
Good to know.
Yeah.
Barbara Billingsley has a great cameo in, for my money, the best, pound for pound, the funniest movie ever made, Airplane.
Yeah.
What an inspired casting choice.
Yeah.
They're perfect.
But her lines were just,
Oh, yeah.
I speak jive. Again, another movie that they would never make.
She wasn't the first one, their first choice. Wasn't it Carol Brady or something?
Oh, really?
Am I getting that right? I don't know. That seems to stick in my head.
Oh, I didn't know that, but it's still a great choice. Now, we're getting all these great letters today about all you guys in your stand-up. I went to my very first comedy show Friday at the Diamond Joe Casino. It was great. Willie, I loved your merch. I have proudly not used it to light up marijuana cigarettes.
Thank you very much for that, sir.
I keep getting asked by other people where I got the lighters. I said, go see Willie.
Thank you.
Oh, nice.
How kind. Yeah, we had a real good time out there in Dubuque. Diamond Joe, a lot of fun.
And then you guys have a gig this weekend. It's I think it's, what is it, Pat Godwin. It's at the Ho Chunk Casino. Who is it again? It's Pat,
Josh,
and Willie.
Yeah.
The trio.
That'll be huge. Very good, very good. And we turn back to the news desk. We got a couple stories we promised we'd get to that we didn't.
Yeah, residents of North Salt Lake, Utah are trying to determine the source of a smell stinking up their community. Miss Latai Nafusi told KSL TV.
What kind of a name is KL Lafusi or whatever?
Latai confusing? What is it?
Okay.
It's very confusing.
It's very confusing.
It's Latai Kaufusi.
Indeed.
I think that's as close as I'm going to get.
She told KSL TV that the overwhelming unpleasant odor began to permeate through the Foxborough neighborhood out of the blue. She said the stench was like that of dead fish, something really rotten. Mr. Max March said, I thought maybe something had died in my backyard. He added that it smelled as though a bunch of shrimp had been sitting out for a few days. KSL TV reports that the mysterious smell eventually drifted away with the help of some wind, but residents still want to know where it came from and whether it might return.
I have a theory.
Okay.
Dahmer promotion.
Oh, my. Oh, man.
I guess that's a huge hit.
Gigantic. Go figure that out.
Have you
right?
watched it?
I can't watch that.
I watched the first one, and I'm done.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I have no interest.
It's grim.
Oh, come on, you bunch of babies.
I watched them all.
It is true.
Yeah.
Does it get worse?
No, it's very well done.
I know it's well done,
artistic,
but I mean,
very well done.
The topic
It's
is
rough, though, yeah.
You should do Dahmer, then you watch Snapped. That's when women, they take it until they can't take it anymore, and that's when they snap. Oh, yeah.
But they
You gotta
don't
watch them all,
They
Tom.
don't decapitate and put it in the fridge.
Yeah.
Hey, what's in the crisper? Dave.
But don't worry, it's just...
You would keep it in the crisper, wouldn't you? Like a head of lettuce.
Actually, it was Oliver Gacy.
That's where it is. Remember, you've seen it? They
I haven't watched the
it's
show,
on the
no.
bottom shelf. Oh, God. Well, it's very disgusting. What's your favorite show on TV right now, Mark? Do you have anything?
Wow, that's a good one. You know, I always go back to, anything Larry David does, I just find amusing as hell. I can watch those things over and over again. I don't have any appointment TV right now. I really
Have you watched any of the long form shows like Breaking Bad or any of those?
Yeah, it's just like, I'm not a guy. You know, the best show I've seen, The Bear. Have you seen The Bear?
So good.
I have seen
Oh,
it.
my
love it, Tom.
God.
It's wonderful.
It
You
is.
you would love it. It's about a restaurant in
Yes,
Chicago.
a kitchen. A guy who's like top chef at top restaurant in the world, and inherits through his brother who passes away this sort of greasy spoon in Chicago. It's so well done.
Yep.
They did 8. Alice and I watched 8 episodes in 2 days, and they got picked up for a second season. So that's been my favorite show. You know what I'm obsessed with? This makes no sense. House Hunters International. Okay. I just, because, Tom and I were talking that his sister was in,
Italy
and
Lives
then
in
England. And I said, people talk about doing that. And Elaine Boozler, comedian, just moved to Italy.
Wow.
And I always say people talk about that, but they don't really do it. And so I kind of live vicariously through these people who just picked their family up and moved to some, clandestine location. So Alice and I are sort of obsessed with watching.
Well, there are a lot of people that view the various real estate websites. It's kind of like porn.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. It's just crazy, So.
Zillow porn.
Takes me longer to get off, though, when I look at Zillow.
Thank you.
Than if I'm
Well, it goes without saying.
your ex-hamster. Yeah.
Unless there's a woman standing in the bathroom.
Yeah, typically there has to be.
Is The Bear fictionalized or is it a documentary? I'm not clear.
Oh no, it's a drama.
Okay.
But the food side, because I know a lot about that, having worked at Food Network all these past years, is so well done. It's just amazing, and the acting is amazing.
When you went to the Food Network remember? Did you tell them about your hot dog adventures?
No, as a matter of fact,
never cooked at all. And...
No. Well, I said to him, "Why would you want me to be on your network? I hardly turn on a stove." And they had done research and found out that the kids who grew up watching me on Nickelodeon were following various people to other channels, and they thought, "Well, let's throw them on." It was the early stages.
Let's throw them on.
Throw them on.
Now, do you cook now?
Oh yeah, a lot. Absolutely.
Okay, so you developed that at a later age.
Because I've learned a lot, and my son, who exec produces every show on Food Network right now, has through osmosis gained so much knowledge that he's like a gourmet chef. He invites us over for dinner, and the food is off the charts ridiculous.
Wow, cool. He is Marc Summers, television guy. Behind-the-scenes guy, in front of the camera guy, a guy who has been doing interesting things in showbiz since the mid-'70s. We were talking off the air, and he said you were the warm-up guy for the TV show Fridays.
Yep, ABC.
Short-lived ABC clone of Saturday Night Live featuring Larry David, Michael Richards. A guy named Bruce Muller did a hilarious thing where he was a Spanish-speaking disc jockey, and he had the turntables. You used to have to spin him to get him up to speed.
Yeah.
I'll have to Google that and see if I remember it. I remember it at the time as being very funny.
It was.
Andy Kaufman famously had a sketch where he essentially ruined it. It turned out to be staged,
Yes.
I believe. But,
Yes. I went to school with Andy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Endless stories.
I bet.
Okay, quick question.
Yes, sir.
During the break, you were looking at your phone. You don't have to give me the number. Who's the most famous person whose number you have on your phone?
Ooh, I don't know. Dennis Miller, Rosie O'Donnell, Ryan Seacrest.
The Pope.
I don't know, just people I've known throughout the years.
Sure.
But
That'd be weird if you had the Pope on there.
Yeah.
Do you have their actual name there, or do you have to have like a fake name?
I actually have their. That's probably not a good idea now that I think about that. But yeah, they're just right there. Yeah.
You have Rachel Ray's number?
I have Rachel Ray's number. I do. Bobby Flay.
Would you like that number?
Michael Simon. All my Food Network pals.
I wouldn't want to just call Rachel Ray cold. I would want to meet her in a group.
Yeah.
That's when she would sort of slowly fall in love with me.
I see.
Yeah.
I was in Italy this summer, and I called Bobby, and I said, "Where should I go?" And he said, "There's a restaurant called the Scoglio on the Amalfi Coast." He said, "It's the best restaurant in the world." I said, "Come on." He said, "No, it's the best." And coming from Flay, you go, "Okay, it's the best restaurant." It was so insane. I can't even begin to tell you. Spectacular.
Wow. You can give that one last plug. What's the name of this?
It's called the Scoglio.
And where is it?
It's on the Amalfi Coast between Positano and Capri. And I have a friend who has been very successful, and he was kind enough to take me and my wife and 5 other couples on a yacht from Sicily up and down the Amalfi Coast this summer, and that was one of our stops, and it was pretty amazing.
So we've recommended a TV show called The Bear and that place.
That place, yeah.
Okay, time to, Today in History. We've got to cover
Time now for Today in History.
Hang on, what's today's date?
You don't know again. October 10th.
Okay, here
10,
we go.
10.
Okay, here we go.
10-2-2.
As I mentioned earlier, George Gershwin, Porgy and Bess opened on Broadway in 1935.
Summertime.
And it's Porgy. This did not involve Porky Pig at all. 1987, we'll skip a little bit. Whitesnake's Here I Go Again tops the Billboard chart, featuring a famous video starring
Tawny Katane.
Tawny Katane.
Yeah?
A dark, dark era in music.
No, that's a great song.
Yeah. I've dined with her.
You what?
I've dined with her.
Did you?
Is she with us still?
No, she recently passed.
away. Sorry.
Aces was held for questioning, weren't you?
Okay.
I brought her an aluminum tray
wasn't
with some bread on it.
Wasn't a Dahmer thing, was it?
Happy birthday, the late Thelonious Monk. His friends called him the
monk.
T-H-E is the first part. Sorry. Happy birthday. You'll know this one, Josh. Ed Wood.
Oh, sure. Yeah, notorious independent filmmaker back in the day.
Yeah, maybe
Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Considered to be one of the worst movies ever made.
Yeah, it's got a killer premise.
But in a wonderful way. Yeah.
You know what kind of wood doesn't float?
Oh, jeez. Yes. I do, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Natalie. Okay.
Go out there, man.
I never thought I would say this sentence before. Marc Summers, shame on you.
The stand-up comes out. I'm around you. What can I do? My wife gets so upset with me when I do those jokes.
Yes.
Happy birthday, David Lee Roth, frontman of Van Halen. I'm not sure if they're still doing anything. I can never figure it out.
More of a Hagar guy.
And happy birthday, Brett Favre. He's been in the news for a lot of unfortunate things. Yeah, and it's spelled Favre. I can't figure that out. And that'll do it for Today in History.
Today, things we learned on the Bob and Tom Show. Christy Lee on assignment this week. Rumor is she's on... in North Carolina. We'll have the number and room number and her phone number coming up later. My new puppy, Joey, she's an Australian Shepherd, and she's been trying to herd me all weekend by biting my ankles, which is, get over here, Dick. Tom's puppy has very sharp teeth, so his hands are all marked up. Big news also at the compound. I got a new refrigerator.
Congratulations, Chip.
Thank you. Thank you
very
very
kind.
much.
Did you get?
It's a Bosch.
Ooh. Nice. You've got Bosch refrigerator money?
That's what most people have done.
Now, let me ask you, is the old refrigerator in your garage?
Of course it is. Because I'm a proud Midwesterner.
That's right.
Is the ice machine hooked up in the garage?
No, not yet.
How long did you have to wait? Because I hear there's like a year wait to get appliances.
2 days.
2 days.
Totally
Mark Summers, you're talking to Chick McGee.
Wow.
He knows people.
I had Chick order.
Now, they're dishwashers. That's a year and a half. Oh, sorry. It's just
How many dishwashers do you go through, though, in a year, you lunatic?
I like to keep my dishes clean. I like to keep them in their place.
How many loads do you dump in a regular day?
Laundry? I have laundry. If you go to Mouse right now, there's laundry in there. Sorry. I don't like having dirty laundry. I don't like having dirty dishes in my
According to Willie, a childhood story, there were lots of goggles at Tom's house when he was growing up. Safety goggles.
You don't want to get bacon grease in that eye.
No, you want to be safe.
You'll notice in the Food Network, all the chefs are wearing goggles.
Sure. Yeah.
They're just invisible. Okay, thanks, Mark. When your a new show comes out, the podcast, would you please give us a phone call and
I will
reveal the title? It better be good.
It is actually.
If you
good.
call with a crappy title, that's great.
It has something to do with my past. I'll tease you with that.
Okay. My time with Epstein, I believe. A shocking revelations.
You wouldn't do the Natalie joke, but you do an Epstein joke. What the hell's wrong with you?
Josh, shame on you.
Oh, Mark, I'm a total hypocrite.
Shame on you, Josh.
Thank you very much. This is the Bob and Tom Show.